Will that work?
That was fucking awesome. Yes, that was fantastic. That'll be the intro right there. So you obviously cross genres in your music, both in solo and with Young Ancients. Do you identify mostly as a blues guy?
Not really.
No?
I've primarily always thought of myself as a rock player, but you know, when I was growing up listening to Zeppelin and the Stones and stuff, they were playing blues.
Right.
That they got influence from old guys in the South, you know. So when it comes down to it, I kind of am a blues guy.
So the tuning bit, let's start with that. That's kind of the elephant in the room for me, just because I'm a really visual learner, and I've watched you play guitar so many times. Eventually I just figured out that you had to be in a different tuning because I couldn't follow anything that you're doing. So it's open D, yeah?
It's open D.
Okay. And then what order are we going in for that?
Well, E.
Okay.
So you're there.
Oh, sort of. That was, so functionally you have 2 B strings and 3 E's. And then your G string is playing the 3rd?
Yep.
Is that like a slide tuning?
Yeah. Yeah, you can use that. Some people use this tuning for slide. Some people use open G, which I know nothing about.
Have you always been in open tuning?
No. I played in standard tuning for decades. I just started using this tuning about 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago.
And not looked back?
It took a while. It actually took me a year to even try and tackle it. I had a friend give me a guitar in this tuning, and he said, just hang this on your wall and pick it up when you're feeling it. And I just wasn't never feeling it. It hung there for a good year. I spent some time with it for an hour one day, and then it sort of started to make sense. And then after that, I couldn't stop doing it.
Right.
I go for hours and hours a day, just messing around. So essentially, you're learning how to play guitar all over.
Kind of relearning, yeah.
Yeah. I come up with some sort of dissonant sounding stuff, but it all sounds cool to me.
Yeah. So obviously a benefit of that is your finger picking too, because all of your strings are in key, generally speaking.
Yeah, the finger picking is kind of essential in this, and I think these are banjo rolls, really.
That's what I really wanted to ask about, is kind of the right hand technique, because when I'm describing your sound to someone who hasn't really heard your music before, I always just say it sounds like he has too many fingers. Because there's so much going on here that when I watch you play, you look very relaxed, but it's going by fast.
Right.
So what is that?
The chords that I've come up with are just out of necessity to create melodies. And then the finger picking a lot of times is things that I've developed in order to drive a melody. If I'm just playing just rhythm, then you gotta get that thumb going. I'll do it slow, so it's, and then slowly add a note. So we're on the beat here, right?
Yeah.
Add one off the beat. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then the way I learned how to do this is I build on something like that for hours. And you could sit and watch football with a guitar and just, and then that becomes muscle memory over here, you know. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is scales. And a major scale descending starting from the E, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple.
What is it?
And then that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the rest of it is. Okay. So that's definitely a banjo thing. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a combination of fretted and open strings.
And you're using a lot more open strings than you would typically find a guitar player using.
Yeah, and that also just comes through repetitious practice.
But there's definitely a lot to be said for the power of the open string and what that can do.
Oh yeah, and the chords, when you're playing chords, like if you're not finger picking, the chords are just huge, especially on an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Little overdrive on it, but okay, so that scale, and then the hard part, back up.
And back up. See, and that is already getting into what I'm so curious about, because I think it's the open strings that make it sound like you're doing so much more, because they're still resonating while you're fretting other notes.
Mm-hmm. I try to keep the movement of my left hand to a minimum, if possible, so I'm not jumping around.
Right.
You know. Or make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it minor. And then I do these other things. Pretty simple. So it's just a little bit of syncopation, but doesn't really take a whole lot of movement with the left hand. And that would be part of a run.
So it seems like you're establishing most of the bass along your two E strings.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I like to keep the tension on this string high as much as whatever guitar I'm playing can handle.
Because you are singing, you're accompanying yourself and covering kind of bass and treble. If it was a piano, you're doing a lot of left and right hand, where I feel like a lot of guitar players kind of pick. They're either going to do rhythm or lead, and you're doing both and singing at the same time.
When I play solo, I'm not really, it's not a situation where I have to think about how am I going to cue them, or the song's going to do this certain thing. The tempo's going to stay the same the whole time. I can jump around and do all kinds of weird stuff, and there's nobody on stage that I have to notify if I'm going to do something crazy. So there's a certain freedom to playing solo shows, and more often than not, that's what I'm doing these days, and I really enjoy it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love listening to you play.